Hello, I am Tulio D. Febres-Cordero, and this is my service learning oral presentation. Question 1. What were your first impressions of the service site? The Enchanted Forest Sanctuary was the service site that I chose. Um, it took a while from where I lived in Satellite Beach to reach the Enchanted Forest, which is in Titusville. When I found the entrance, I turned into it and I was met by a winding road with Animal Crossing signs and a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I took those signs seriously and I drove extremely slowly down the winding road, which opened up to one single building and a turnaround loop that would bring you back on the same road and take you to the exit of the park or the exit of the sanctuary. There was literally one road in the entire sanctuary. The main facility looked 2 stories high and about 2 football fields wide. It was an impressive building. It looked very modern, amongst all this nature. It had the most magnificent canopy of trees that surrounded the entire facility. And all you could hear was birds and nature once you got out of your car and shut off your engine. Question number 2. How was the setting similar or different than what you expected? The setting was different than what I expected because all of the county parks that I have been to have been like really old, and you can just see how old the picnic tables are and that they've been around forever. Metal would be rusted. Um, so when I went to this park, I expected the same thing. I expected it to be a very old building, but the EEL program, which is the Environmentally Endangered Lands program, made their first purchase in 1990, which was the Enchanted Forest, being their first purchase. So when I entered the building, it was full of computer screens next to all the exhibits. I also did not expect such a canopy of oak trees. I expected to see more pine trees and palm trees and for it to be more sunny, but since we were kind of in this canopy, it was very nice shade. The setting did meet my expectations of Titusville. I've always heard that Titusville was kind of country in a rural place, so the setting had plenty of unused native Florida land there. Question number 3. Discuss your experience working with people of different economic status, ethnicity, race, religion, age, sexual orientation, physical ability, or health status. How has your perspective changed because of service learning? My experience with working with people who are different than me was completely fine. I have worked with such a diversity in my past. I have pretty much interacted with most types of people. There was one example though while I was working with a woman who had a different sexual orientation. A couple of men and I started talking about where we have traveled. Well, when San Francisco came up, I could tell one of the men wanted to say something about the gay population there. So I quickly changed the subject by asking a question to the woman whom they might offend, changing the topic. Question 4. What was most challenging or difficult? The most difficult thing for me was the manual labor because I have a bad back from an injury I sustained in the Marine Corps, which is why I'm back in school trying to use more my brain than my brawn. So the job digging up the roots and physically removing them from the forest trails was the most challenging for me. What did you learn from your experience? Well, what I learned from that experience was that there are people out there that are willing to work hard without pay for something that they can be passionate about, which was inspiring. Question 5. What changes would you recommend in your service placement job? I don't think I would recommend any changes to the site because there are a lot of great people there that work really hard for a very little amount of money. Question 6. How have you benefited overall? I benefited because I took an environmental science class this term, so working in the environment with biologists and getting hands-on experience kind of put me ahead of the other class members I had. The most educational experience that related to that science class was my interaction with the Native Plant Society. This particular chapter had a botanist. His name was Dr. Paul. As a member, so he gave a lecture on plant anatomy that was pretty intriguing. And also walking the trails with the biologist and able to see things close up, like what a lichen looked like or what a particular spider looked like. When that subject came up in my environmental science class, I would already have a visual of what a lichen was, so it made things easier to retain. Question number 7. How does your service experience relate to your course or classroom work? Well, in the class, there was an emphasis on the fact that one person can make an impact, can make a difference. You know, it only took that one person to go volunteer. To do so, my service learning experience related to the course because I felt how powerful of an impact I had because of the appreciation of the people who I helped. Question 8. Has this service learning experience changed your concept of civic responsibility and your desire to help others? And how? I've always felt the concept of civic responsibility was to be a contributing member of society in a positive way. Taking the service learning class has enabled me to fulfill that sense of civic duty. So it did not change my concept of civic responsibility, but rather reaffirmed it. I also have always had the desire to help others. I eventually wanted to be a nurse. I worked in the hospital and in the military, and no man is an island. So being able to help others, it's been an honor, and not only that, it's kind of ran in my family. My grandfather always helped others, and my mother as well. We're a very nurturing family. Okay, that is the end of the questions in my oral presentation. Thank you very much.